Hello friends, and welcome to Fishcraft. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so very much. Fishcraft is a Minecraft survival series where I've been doing pretty much just a bunch of building and a whole bunch of fishing, which I definitely hope would show, considering, you know, I've got 226,000 fish caught so far, and there's no stopping in sight. Actually, I've got some pretty big plans for how much fishing I'm gonna be doing here pretty soon, but definitely not in this video. This video is going to be very building heavy because I've got a big old apothecary here that I still need to try and finish, or at least the courtyard part of it, which is what we are going to be doing in today's video. However, it did just start raining, so I think I'm gonna do a little bit of fishing first. I mean, because that's what we do. And there goes the rain. So with that, we are good to move on to the more building side of this video. So here's my plans. Here's my plans so far for this little apothecary area. So in my last video, we made all these different little tightly wound little buildings here, kind of like a community of the sorts of apothecary residents. We've got 6 buildings here already, and the idea was to have them all very tightly wound and very close together so that it feels a bit more cozy. And I do think that worked. This does feel very cozy. But for the past week or so, I've been struggling pretty badly trying to come up with what I could put over on this side of the apothecary, because it's still completely empty, and there's a llama on my roof. Moving on. It's still pretty empty over here, and it definitely could do with some more buildings and stuff. And I'm thinking maybe along the lines of more height. I'm not exactly sure what this apothecary place could be missing. So I think I'm just gonna build with whatever comes out of my heart. Like, well, I guess that'd be fish, but we'll stick to whatever buildings we come up with first. So at the tippity top of my to-do list for this side of the apothecary is we need to figure out where we can be putting all of our different bees and stuff. So maybe I can just dedicate pretty much this whole side over here to like bees nests and such. I'm not really sure. I'll figure that part out as we go. But there is one building I have in mind for this middle section here, and it's a very tall, very spiky sort of spire building, and it's in a slightly different style than these buildings behind me, which is a good thing, because I did want this apothecary to have a bit more diversity in terms of building shapes, because I mean it's already maxed out in terms of plant diversity. I've got pretty much everything in here already. Oh, except for the eye blossoms. I just realized I never updated to the little payload stuff, whatever that is. But that's okay. I never really needed it before. So I don't really build too much out of white blocks, so it's never been too much of a problem. But I definitely will be updating in the future. That being said, I have so much building I have to do, so we're gonna see if we can quickly get one of these buildings popped down, just to see if it matches the vibe that we've got with the rest of the other ones over here. And I reckon probably the first one we're gonna try working on is something to put in this center bit here for all the different bees. And I'm thinking we're probably gonna do like a bunch of different crops, like layered. Like different floors are gonna have different like crops, like potato, carrot, wheat, etc. But again, I don't really know how this is gonna turn out, so I think we might just have to wing this again as usual. But I'm excited to see how it comes out. So I think, as usual, we'll do just a tiny little swirl. And it's all fully finished. Look at this little thing. I'm so proud of this little building. I'll tell you what I'm not proud of, though. Whatever is going on with this inventory here. We got green dye, a single raw fish, and a bunch of dandelions. I really did think that having the bundles would help with my inventory management, but since this is a slightly older version of Minecraft, the bundles aren't exactly as helpful right now, because I can't really scroll through it. So the only way for me to get specific things out of the bundle is to just throw it up on the floor. But that's okay, though. I don't really mind too much having to do the cycling and stuff. The bundles did help. They just I think I'm just a couple versions short of them being amazing. That being said, it is fishing weather, so we're gonna go do that really quickly. And with the weather gone, we are good to go and start investigating this little building. Now, it is quite different from the one that I've made here, or at least the styles are very different, but I did try to keep the color themes, at least, you know, coherent with everything else that's going on here. And I do really like this. This is quite a different shape than anything I've made before. And I did also make sure to not make to make the top not as tall as the apothecary centerpiece, because I do want this to still be the centerpiece. But I don't know, I just was in a very spire mood, so I wanted to build a little tower thing. And there's still a few things I needed to do over here, because this tower is originally made for the bees and stuff to do their pollinating and stuff, and get their flowers and their pollen and stuff on top of the crops and whatnot. And while I was building this, I completely forgot to put the bee nests in, and I'll tell you, I didn't make any stairs going up, or at least to the top floor. I do have a spot where there's some ladders and stuff, but that doesn't count. Taking a nap, ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't know why that song has been stuck in my head for so long. Oh, hold on. Do you think maybe these decorated pots would work good as a snail? Oh, maybe if the fences could connect to it. It's close, but the fence really doesn't connect to it very good, so I don't think it works. It's close though. That's still pretty cute. We'll put a little slab here so that I can walk up here a little bit easier. And we did also already put in all the different bee nests. So this tower is in full operation. Also, it was meant to be originally a gazebo or a gazebo. Yes, I don't know what that was. But it was supposed to be a little gazebo for the bees, and it turned into a giant cake because they're just layer after layer after layer. But I do really love it. It's definitely one of my better builds. Let's do a little zoom. Little zoom. Yeah, look at it. I mean, we've got the scaffolding we need to clean up still, but I do really love this. The only thing I was having some issues with really was trying to connect it to the actual floor itself using like the mud bricks and stuff down there. I do really love it, but I wasn't sure what to do. So I just kind of copied the same pattern that I had running along the ridge here and then just put it at the bottom. Oh, yeah, I am sorry that the wheat just gets directly cut off on a line right here. I've got some more plans in the future to put some more buildings on the sides of the spire, so I didn't want to have to put any wheat if I knew if I was gonna have to just rip it straight back up again. Oh, we got some more rain. Time to go fish. There goes the rain. Do. So now that the rain is gone, we should be good to move on to trying to figure out what it is we need to be putting next to this more central building here. And I definitely don't want any more of the taller ones. So I think I'm gonna go back to my more residential shaped buildings just to help fill out the area a bit more. Though I'm still not entirely sure what it is I need to be doing over here, because, you know, believe it or not, I really don't have much experience in terms of civilization building or connecting builds to the world around it, but, you know, I'm doing my best. That being said, I will be choosing this section to do next, and as always, we can just do a little tiny twirl, and it's all finished. I don't know what it is, but this looks really good to me. I also learned something about glass panes recently, and it's that if you put them in if you want them to be just one singular block, so it's not like connected to any of the ones around it, you actually need them to be next to a bunch of like farmland or something, because apparently glass panes don't connect to the farmland, so that helped with my making of the cattails here. I don't know why I needed this information, but I learned it. I also made a couple more changes with the path leading up towards the apothecary that I completely forgot to mention during my last building that I made. So originally I thought that the path leading to the apothecary here was going to be very clear, very clean, pristine sort of flooring, but the more I embraced the apothecariness, the more I realized that there's probably going to be a need for a lot of fresh water in these parts, right? So surely after, you know, a really long time of people using like pipes and stuff to get water, they'd need like a drain and stuff. So I added these little staircases here that are completely flooded with water, and it looks kind of like a little gutter or something. I just thought it looked really nice, so I added it going all the way along from this building here all the way to the front underneath the little benches on the outside here. I was also going to be adding two of them, one for each side, but this one already has the little river here, so I figured just the one probably is enough. Also, I did end up expanding the little tiny little creek running through here, because I did get a comment from Prismatic Hue that mentioned that I probably should have some form of a little water wheel, and I really like that idea, so I totally added it. Is it necessary for such a small little creek? Probably not, but I do think it was a really cool idea, and I really wanted to add it. So here it is, just the tiniest little water wheel I knew how to build, with just a pinch of cattails around. I'll be honest, it's really difficult for me to try and find ways to try to make these builds feel more connected to the land, and I guess my brain thought that maybe vegetation was the way to go, so I just put a bunch of cattails all over the place. Oh, that's right, because I also added the little gutter system and a little creek. I also did want to add a little bit of like the walking planks to go over the water so you didn't step on it. I thought that was a really cute idea, and I've always wanted to add this, but I wasn't exactly sure how to incorporate it properly. So this was a fantastic excuse to add these. And so we move on to the actual building itself, which I think is very cute. It's very small. And I struggled with details and trying to see if I can get it connected to the actual world itself. I didn't actually finish putting in the logs down here, but that's okay. I got close enough. So we've got our little walking plank here. We go in and we open the door. This is our little mushroom house. I guess that's what you would call it, the little fungus place, right? We've got our cauldron where we boil our stew. We've got little mushrooms all over the place, tiny mushrooms, all the different mushrooms I knew were in the game, and then I made this one. I don't know what it is, but I used the dead coral, and I thought it looked okay enough for me to keep it because I was trying to diversify the vegetation and stuff in here. But this was the best I could do for a little like a tied up block of mushroom. I don't know. Very cute, very small, just little bits of detail to make this place feel a bit more lived in. And then one of my favorite spots, I got a comment from the Little Manian, who said that usually these inner apothecary courtyards and stuff, they usually have got little spots where people could meet up and stuff, and I thought that was really cute too. So I added a couple of those just spotted throughout the apothecary courtyard, and one of them is this little corner right here. Oh my goodness, I just realized I could connect this little water wheel to the bottom half of this little building here. Look, I've got this whole section over here that I'm not even using. Yeah, okay, maybe the water wheel could do something like it grinds up the mushrooms or something to help it with the stew. I don't really know how this works, but I'll figure something out. Moving back to the little meeting spots stuff. So this little corner right here is where we'll probably be doing a lot of relaxing and meeting up of the sort. So we've got a little bench here, and my favorite part, we have a little tiny shrine whose original design was made by Empress Little Bit during the Crafting Hope charity stream, and I thought the design was really cute, so I tweaked it a little bit and I turned it all from black stone into regular stone because I wanted it to look like it was a little statue of the sorts. Anyway, it's very cute and I love it a lot. So this is the little meetup point. We've got a bench, we've got a shrine, and I guess a bunch of corn and rice surrounding it. I don't really know what I was doing here, but I had a lovely time doing it. Here, there we go. All right, well, yeah, I think that's about it so far. Also, is it just me, or do these candles seem to not work as good as regular, like, torches and lanterns and such? Because I keep on getting, like, skeletons and stuff spawning, like, somewhere around here, and that's not very good for while I'm trying to do my fishing and stuff. I'll just be sitting on the dock, and then I just get bonked in the back of the head by just a free flying arrow. So I've been having to run around and put little torches and stuff underneath the moss carpets. I didn't want to have to use any of the torches or lanterns, but goodness, there's these little candles just aren't working. Maybe I need to light these cattails. Surely that'll help, right? Just catch the little plants on fire. I don't know. I'll figure something out for it. In the meantime, I need to hurry up and get started on the other little building that we're gonna be trying to put in over here. And I'm still not exactly sure what it is I want to put over here, but I do know that it needs to bridge the gap over this little creek here, because I spent a really long time digging this out, and I'm not just gonna get rid of it and fill it back in. So we'll build over the top of it and maybe try to incorporate it into the actual landscape itself, which is very much outside of what I normally do. Typically, whenever I'm building stuff, I'll just flatten out a whole area and then just kind of pop the building straight on top of it, which has been working so far, but I'm hoping to eventually get better at building, so I need to learn to work with the terrain instead of just completely removing it and then making my own. Because I still have a lot more I need to learn about building and stuff, which I'll be in my next series. I will definitely be trying to do a lot more terraforming and stuff to hopefully get better at incorporating the buildings into the landscape itself instead of just pasting it over a blank floor or something. I don't know. I've got a lot of work to do, so we're just gonna do a little hop and a skip. And there it is. There's our little building. Oh, I love it so much. We got our little candle lamp posts. We got a bunch of new friendly iron golems around. I don't know why I added them, but I did. Fun fact, this building I made was inspired by one I saw in a movie called Laputa, Castle in the Sky. It just was a little background building in Slag City or something. I don't remember the name of the place, but it was where the main character, where he used to live, and he would blow his little trumpet in the morning times, and the pigeons. I love it so much. I don't know what I'd do without Ghibli movies. Oh right, I forgot to mention that these little iron golems right here, they also are from Laputa, Castle in the Sky, which is a Studio Ghibli movie. Apparently, according to the Minecraft wiki, the iron golems here, they actually were inspired by the little golems from Laputa, so I figured I may as well use the resource pack to have them changed to match the texture from the movie, right? I think they're cute, and they just stomped my crops. Thank you. I thought you were supposed to hand me a flower, not break my food. That's okay. I don't really eat much wheat anyway, other than, oh geez. Yeah, no, I don't think I eat wheat at all. I think pretty much since I started this series, I've been solely a fish person. What is that called? A pescatarian or something, where you just eat fish? I don't know, but So far, here is our little building. So we've got all the different little bee nests with all the smoke coming underneath, so we can harvest the honey as it accrues, of course. We've got a little fireplace going straight out the top with just some little tiny little decorations. I really love using the decorated pots. I can't imagine how weird these buildings would feel if I just didn't use decorated pots or any kind like that. I think that's one of my most used blocks, probably, is decorated pots and, oh, I don't know, spruce trapdoors. Either way, I really love building with, like, pottery and stuff. I am noticing an issue, though, with these iron golems. They really like to put themselves right into this little creek here, and I'm trying to figure out what maybe could be a good way to prevent them from falling in here. Maybe I can make a staircase leading back out somehow? Or, I'm not really sure, buddy. I'll get you out. I'm on the way! Alright, here. Let's see. Is this gonna work? Do I have my scaffolding? I don't have my scaffolding on me. It's probably in my barrel. Here, what if I do this? No, it's so close. Alright, let's try that again. Except we'll put them at the top. We'll try here. Yeah, there we go. You're free. We did it. Alright, well, I'll keep you here for a little while, okay? I'll undo this later. I can't trust you around the water. So I do need a couple names for the very vast amount of iron golems that I have here. I was originally gonna have them all named after, like, the different types of tropical fish there are in the game, but I think there might be too many. So whatever you all want to name them, I will put them onto some name tags, and we will do that as soon as I can. I need to eat pufferfish more often. This is nice. You can't die from eating pufferfish, can you? No, I just get really sick. That's okay. I'm fine with being sick. I love the pufferfish. Apparently the pufferfish is actually, it's a delicacy or something, right? Tastes good? I don't know. This is nice. Right? Long story short, I need a lot of iron golem names. So whatever you all want. Thank you. This place looks so much better already. I also completely forgot to mention that I did also get another comment from, oh gosh, is Prismatic Q again. Lots of good suggestions from them, it seems. So we added the water wheel, and we also went and we added a well, suggested to me from Prismatic Q. Now, I don't really know how to make wells very good, so this is the best I got. Just these two little pots, picking up some water from this little tank here. Well, I'll eventually put a little salmon inside. Is it the cleanest to have a fish inside your water supply? Probably. Probably. Yes, I want fish into my water. Yes. This is our little well. We've got our little buckets over here where we store the water. We've got the pots and the cauldron, all of the regular stuff. I do wish I didn't use all of my iron creating these cauldrons, because I definitely feel like I could use a little bit more iron golems. Now, I know I have a lot already, but it looks like there's a lot because they're all stuck in, like, the same area for some reason. They're not diluting. So usually these all would be kind of separated fully throughout the apothecary. So maybe I'll have to manually move them at some point, but for now, I will say that this is good. That's right. I forgot one more thing. So I think I've just about got this whole apothecary all fully finished, except for a couple of spots over here. So we've gone and we've added all the different buildings that are over on this side right here. And this episode, we just added all of this new stuff, right? We got the spire, we've got the 2 bee buildings, and it all looks lovely. However, the only thing remaining that is slightly empty is this whole section over here, and maybe we can do something for a small backyard? I don't really know what I could be doing here. So on top of the iron golem name suggestions, I'm so sorry. What are maybe some things you think I could add over here in this little corner? I'm not really sure. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. All right, so I think that about does it for the building for this video. I do still want to do a little bit more fishing before I go, though. Ooh, maybe I can take this little fishing break as a little spoiler for some stuff I got planned later on down the road. So this little spire building right here, this is sort of a precursor of the sorts, or is that the right word? This is a glimpse into the future, I suppose. This is me practicing a certain style of build. So we'll keep that in mind, and know that I've got some stuff brewing in the background here. I've got a lot of different stuff brewing. I got 2 new series that are gonna be coming up here pretty soon. I'm very excited for, and I hope you are too. That'll be all. It's gonna be really exciting. I don't really know. I'm also quite nervous for new series, because then it means I won't be in this world and stuff for a while. But that's okay. I do always appreciate being able to build in new styles and stuff. And honestly, it's gonna be a relief not having to build in this world in a different style, because for some reason, this whole world that I have here is about 17 different styles all mashed into one. The only exception so far is the little apothecary that I had. I have been trying my best to keep it all slightly coherent so that it is a bit more pleasing to the eye compared to whatever's going on over here. But again, I'm a little too easily inspired, so my different styles and stuff they're all over the place. But that's okay. In the new series stuff that I have planned, I'll be doing a very specific style, and I'll be hopefully sticking to it the majority of the way. And this concludes our fishing for the day. I am sad that I was only able to catch maybe 800 fish this week, but that's alright. I did the best I could for the very limited amount of time I had. So with that being said, I thank you all so very much for watching this episode of Fishcraft. I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.